Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Cut and Splice. This is Gil, and I'm here with Matt and Jason, of course. And today we have a special edition. We have our good friend Avihai joining us to discuss a movie that he was involved with. How's it going, Avihai?
It's going pretty good. Thank you guys for having me.
Great. So to get an idea. So what did you do on the production of Rebel Moon? This was the Zack Snyder recently, I guess, on Netflix release.
I was a grip on Rebel 1 and 2. We shot both of those back to back back in 2022. We filmed that. So yeah.
Sweet.
That was 8 months of my life that I will never get back.
So I guess I wonder what was it? I guess it was a big undertaking, or maybe the special effects took a while. But when did the first one come out?
Last year.
Yeah,
Last
year. It was about a year of post production. We knew that going in. There was a ton of visual effects. So it came out according to plan. I think it came out December of 23, almost exactly a year after we finished filming, as we finished like the beginning of December of 22. So, and then the second one came like in April or something like that, I want to say.
Yeah, I'm looking at the posters. It says December
Yeah.
22 for the first one, and then April
Yeah.
19th. Yeah, so they have
Yeah.
like a 6-month apart type of thing, 5 months.
They just wanted to keep initially. There was a lot of talks initially about like just releasing one in December and the next one in January, and a lot of stuff kept changing nonstop. As a grip, I don't have all the information. There's a lot of rumors floating around when you're on set, so it's. But we knew it was going to take a long time because it was the majority of the movie was green screen. There was a lot of visual effects. We did a lot of location too, but there was a ton of green screen on the locations as well. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess do you really is there a lot of discussion amongst like crew about plans going ahead, or is it just sort of like moment to moment? You're just trying to get through the principal photography?
For me personally, I was I don't want to say just a grip, but I was just a grip. I was a regular on the crew, but I'm not involved in the discussions. The key grip, the best boy, they're more involved in the more the deeper planning. But the thing with our crew is we came in very, very last minute. There was a different grip crew up until about a week or two before production started, and then that crew, for whatever reason, got fired. I'm not sure what the deal is there exactly, and we got brought in last minute. The other crew was already doing prep for over a month to get ready for the production, so we kind of got thrown in there like last minute doing an 8-month project, a big feature film, and my crew usually worked on a lot of TV shows prior to that, so there was a lot of catching up. There was a lot of chaos constantly. So whatever discussion was there, I didn't get all the information. I was getting bits and pieces throughout the production, but it was rough. It was rough 8 months.
Oh. And this was you said it was 2022 was when
it was 2022. It started mid-April. And then originally it was supposed to end beginning of November, but then they kept pushing because they were behind. And I think the last day of shooting, it was early December, I want to say, that they finished filming. And then we filmed. There was a lot of stage work. We filmed in Sunset Gower, but all the village stuff, the Veld and all that stuff, that was in Blue Cloud, which is a kind of a movie ranch up in Santa Clarita, if you're not familiar with that. And they built the whole village just for this movie. They spent a lot of money. I don't remember the exact amount, but it's in the upper millions to build this village. And Blue Cloud, the ranch, they film a lot of stuff there, a lot of military stuff, all kinds. It's a big movie ranch. They wanted to keep that. They bought it from the production after the movie ended. They wanted to keep that for some reason, because I don't know, even if there is a third and fourth one, I don't know if we're going back to that village. I'm not 100% sure. So
Yeah, I can see them
But
maybe like
yeah,
shelling it off to like a TV show that's trying to do some
yeah,
village.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's tough, but they built also like a gigantic wall of containers in the back, and they put a huge green screen in the back. That's so when you look back, you see the all the planets behind the
Yeah.
village. So we filmed there for most of the summer, from June to till end of October. So it was the heat of summer in Santa Clarita. So it was like a lot of days. I have pictures still of like 115 degrees. We're filming there, and this is back when we were still heavy on the mask use. Still, so it was rough. It was rough. Like the second movie, the last final big fight scene, all that was all of September.
Ooh.
So yeah, just that. It was initially supposed to be all night, and then it turned into all day. There's a lot of changes in these kinds of movies. So yeah, needless to say, it was a lot of work.
When Avihai, when you were doing the exterior stuff, and there was like a lot of green screen where they knew they were going to be compositing a bunch of stuff in post and stuff like that. Did that result in a lot of downtime while you were waiting for other members of the crew to like get all the, because I mean that's a pretty technical thing, right? I mean when you get a lot of that stuff.
It is a technical thing, true, but there wasn't actually too much downtime because there was a whole crew of visual effects. Now, in most productions, you'll get like maybe one or two people visual effects just standing by, kind of like waiting around.
Yeah.
It was a full visual effects crew, which is normally not on set. So there was a visual effects cinematographer, DP. That's what they call him. He wasn't the DP. Zack Snyder was the DP, but he was in charge of everything visual effects, and they I will say that they had their shit together. They knew what they were doing, but there's so much other stuff going on, and whenever we needed to adjust something visual effects, we would do it fairly quickly. Yeah, I mean everything was. These people have done these kinds of things, so
Yeah.
they
That's
were
good to
kind of
hear.
like starting to composite while we were doing like very like kind of low grade stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, they needed to do a lot more layering and doing that. But like the spaceships, for instance, we had some of the spaceships built, so it's not all visual effects. Some of the spaceships were actually built and brought there to location. So
It's like the stuff that they're crawling in and out of, or not crawling, but climbing in and out of with the ramps and stuff.
which ramps are you talking about specifically?
Like you said, the spaceships. You're talking about like at the end where they're.
Yes. Well, all the spaceships throughout the movie.
Okay.
You mean the ramps to the space? Yeah, those are real ramps that they're going up in, and the spaceships were mostly built fully, like you see. Obviously, they didn't fly or anything, but
Come on.
they were built pretty good. I mean, I will, it was nice. It was nice. There was some good stuff there for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. I guess yeah, I'm curious, like Matt and Jason, I know you both and me as well. We all three of us didn't see this when it initially came out. So I'm curious to first get your take on why didn't you see it when it came out, and then like initial thoughts on the after seeing it.
Actually, I do have one question. I mean, you might not you might not be allowed to answer this. I don't know. They made you sign like an NDA or anything about anything. But did Zack Snyder's focus puller ever like threaten him with violence or anything?
Well, look. I'm gonna say this, okay? I'm gonna start with a few good things, okay?
Okay.
Zack Snyder overall is a very nice person. He wasn't like mean or anything like that, but this movie was very, very hectic. And Zack Snyder, besides the fact that he was directing and producing and co-writing, he was also DPing, right? He doesn't normally does, but he was the DP, and he was also the C camera operator, which came out every once in a while, not in every shot. There was a lot of, because it's so long, there was no breaks. There were no breaks throughout. And Zack Snyder is just kind of a breed of a person who just keeps going no matter what. He's not on drugs or anything. He just, he's shooting his thing. He's in the zone. He's like, where everybody else is like, by the end of this, everybody was like, it's like we did a tour somewhere in like Afghanistan or something like that. Everybody was just like PTSD. Everybody was just like, it was rough. It was just rough. I don't recall a particular incident of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that actually did happen. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't there physically for that particular thing, the threat, but that wouldn't surprise me at all, because there was a lot of friction between the different departments and between overall everybody, because it was just so chaotic, and the hours were very long, and you're just constantly there. The only time we really got some time off is when like the number 2, which is the bad guy, he got COVID, so we got like a long weekend out of that, but there were no breaks. In TV shows, you normally, a lot of times you'll do like 3 weeks on, 1 week off, or like you do, a few months on, and then you take a few weeks off. Nothing. There was nothing. It was 8 months, well, almost 9 months straight. So tensions were very high, especially towards the end.
Yeah, but I mean, those people really, especially focus pullers, like I don't think this is the only movie where like they would curse director for choosing a specific stop or lens. I mean, they know like yeah.
Yeah, there's always yelling on every production, even a lower key. There's always like, oh, this is dumb. We shouldn't do this, So it's just, Plus, I don't know what you mean by Zach's focus puller, because his focus puller is technically, I don't think so. It's probably the A camera focus puller, which is the main focus puller. Probably the yell that, well, I don't see him yelling at the A camera operator, because he was like the nicest guy ever, but Canadian. But but it could have happened. There was some friction with the dolly grip, I can tell you that. But let's not get into all that, the inside drama in the grip department. So.
All right, good to know.
Cool. And we can keep asking questions, of course, but I was just trying to move things along, so we actually talk about the movie.
Of course.
Matt, thoughts?
Why did I see it when? Well, I mean, first of all, I don't have Netflix, or at least I didn't for a while. But I got rid of my Netflix account when I decided to sign up for the Criterion channel, but I got it back for this. I don't know. There's just I mean I was aware of the movie's existence, but I mean I guess it just wasn't something that was enough to like pry my credit card out of my wallet for a moment to go on to Netflix and subscribe again, and then eventually the reviews came out and they were not exactly kind. So I kind of it was just one of those things where I kind of chalked it up to I'll get to it when I get to it, and especially with the funny thing is I have generally been a defender of Zack Snyder, even after a couple of his DC debacles. But I mean, also like, Army of the Dead was probably his first foray into like not only directing but also like he was his own DP on Army of the Dead too, and I mean it kind of seemed like that was where he was shifting into like I'm just going to be full Snyder, like this is just going to be me. It's not me giving my experience and my talents and all that stuff to a different IP or to a studio. Like this is all Snyder for 2.5 hours, and it was one of those movies that just kind of struck me as like, well, I'm not upset that I spent 2.5 hours of my life watching this, but it's definitely not something that I would write home about. It's but I don't know. It was kind of I don't know. My opinion of Zack Snyder as a filmmaker has kind of shifted recently, and not in the best direction. But anyway, so that was probably too long. Go ahead.
But that was I know it's more than 2.5 hours because like part 1 and part 2.
Oh no, I was talking about Army of the Dead.
Oh, Army of the Dead. Oh yeah. Never mind.
Yeah.
But
my
go ahead,
experience
Jason.
was similar. Like Matt, I just didn't. I haven't had Netflix for a while, just because I don't even remember what the cause was initially. I think I was getting it for free from someone, and then that stopped or something, and I didn't decide to start paying for it again because I had enough stuff to watch from other things, and eventually, I knew there was some stuff I wanted to get, and when we just talked about doing this episode, it was kind of like the reason to go ahead and sign back up again and get back on Netflix. But anyway, I probably would have watched it earlier. I just if nothing else, out of pure curiosity, because Zack Snyder wrote it as originally as a Star Wars idea and pitched it to Lucasfilms, and it didn't happen. I would have, if nothing else, just wanted to see what it turned into just because of that. I mean, pretty much, we've talked about it many times on this podcast. I mean, I like Zack Snyder. I just mostly like his older stuff. I've been pretty disappointed by his stuff since Man of Steel, more or less. When it was interesting to watch it. I liked it a little more than I thought I would, but obviously we can get into all those details later. But that's kind of where my situation was. Is like I was just sort of waiting for an opportunity to finally get back on Netflix, sort of thing.
Yeah, so I guess I have the worst excuse because I do have Netflix, and I'm probably like the one who likes Zack Snyder the most out of the three of us. But yeah, to me reviews are big because I don't have a lot of time to watch movies, so I'm very selective. And I knew, much like you, that I would eventually get around to it, and I was happy when Avihai reached out. It was actually a no-brainer. I should have thought about it myself, but it's I remember I told you guys like, oh, should think about a movie, like, or ask Avihai if he wants to, because like we've had several other people join, and but I'm glad it all came together. But yeah, I don't know. It's we'll get into the details once we get into spoilers, because we're trying to just give like a review right now. But at least the first half of it, the first part, really went well for me. I was surprisingly with it. Like I thought, like, this is actually pretty good. Like I get what this is. Like I get the whole shtick. It's like Seven Samurai, like in space. And I like it. I like when people try to, as long as they give it their own spin, and he definitely did. But then as it kept going, especially the second part, it was like, there's all these like little moments of like too much of this, too much of that, tonal issues. Even the first part, it had that, but not as much as the second part. But a lot of it I did like, but the more I replay it in my mind, the more I'm like, this is tough. Like I don't know. Initially I was like, oh, this is like really good. I would give this almost like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. But if I had to like give like some sort of average, like I would probably give like part 1 a 7 and part 2 a 6. So it's probably like a 6.5, which is probably what it deserves because it is for me a less than average, even though it's a valiant like attempt at like an epic space
You are very
opera.
generous. I'll just say that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure, and I'm hopefully I'll be generous, and it's still not a great score from me, but yeah, but 6.5, like the averaged them out. I know that the critics like IMDb seems to be at like 5.5, and the critics are like at 3, 3 and some change. But yeah, I think that I just have a soft spot for Snyder. I really like the way he shoots action. I think he actually is one of the best ones out there. I mean, other than like Nolan and Denis, like there's not too many people that all I see is just a mess. Like I see John Wick and I see nothing. I just see a bunch of arms in the air and I can't even catch like a single frame. But with this, I was like, I feel it, I see it. I can even like see some sense of strategy, even though if it was still a bit messy. But he just really gets action. That just had the way he did in 300 and the way he did a little bit in Watchmen, and Man of Steel as well to a degree. But that's when he started just going a bit overboard. I felt like here he was a bit. He's like some of the earlier stuff in the first one. I really felt like it was some vintage Snyder. But yes, the whatever instincts he's developed in the last few movies seem to not be going away, and he always falls to prey to them. So it's uneven at best. But all I'm saying is that I enjoyed it. Like I'm happy that I got to see it. I definitely don't regret it. And hopefully some people will be inspired to watch Seven Samurai because from watching this, probably not, but that's what they should do probably. Or A Bug's Life, if
I'll just say quickly overall, in its best moments, I would generously say that like these two movies they had what it needed to get somewhere around like a 7 at best. But there's just, I'll get into it later. I have a huge list in front of me of what's wrong with this movie, and a good list too. But like, I mean, overall, there's just so many problems that I really can't go any higher than like a 5. I mean, at its worst, it feels, there's moments where I'm like, this is really, really bad. But yeah, I mean, I can say like it was better than I thought it was going to be. So it's like a really weak 5, maybe.
It's pretty low.
You guys are real generous with this movie. I guess I revealed my thoughts about this movie. But yeah, I will add as well that as far as strategy and all that stuff, just to give it a little bit of a high note, Zach is very, very detailed, and you can see that he knows exactly what he's going to do. It's the one thing I did admire when I was there, because when there's so much green screen, there's just got to be so much imagination. But he knows exactly where the ships are coming from, where everybody, all this army's coming from. He has everything like down, like detailed, like almost perfectly. I mean, obviously it doesn't always go according to plan, but I will give him that it was very, very, very well thought out. At least the action and the cinematography and all that stuff. Story wise, that's a different story, but yeah. So yeah, just wanted to say that.
So what would be your if you had to rate it from 1 through 10?
Well, for me, look, I mean, I watched the movie and I didn't like want to necessarily turn it off or like fell asleep, so that's a plus, I guess. But it's like one of those movies that are just like, as soon as you turn it off, you just forget about it. Like try to name any of these characters. After a while, you just I watched it with my wife, and I was like, "Do you remember what the Asian lady? What's the character name?" She's like, "I don't know." So
Yeah.
it was just kind of one of those things. It's just very forgettable after you watch it. It was, the action was good. I will say that. It looked nice.
Some of it's
So,
good.
so I will give it, I don't want to be too mean. So maybe 4.5. I will give a total for both movies. I will say the second movie I enjoyed slightly more because, first of all, there was a little more action, and they had an attempt to at least give us a little bit of a backstory for some of these characters, but which they did not do any in the first movie. So it was rushed, but
Kind of ham-fisted backstory, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It wasn't very. I'm not saying it was good, but at least there was an attempt to do that.
Well,
Yeah.
I would say as far as the names, at least, I mean, Titus is definitely very memorable because he's brought up a lot,
Right.
and Cora, although she has a lot of names, Scar Giver and all the
Right.
Cora is
Well,
pretty memorable.
Cora, you should know because she's the lead. So I would expect, but all these characters that she's going to enlist into this thing, like the Seven Samurais, if you will. I mean, go ahead, name them all if you remember. I mean, maybe you put notes,
to remember
but,
all of them is definitely tough, and I won't mention some of them because I actually would like be kind of spoilers in case anybody listened just to the review. But Matt, what about your rating?
Well, being that, as Jason pointed out, this was originally pitched to Lucasfilm as a Star Wars story, I feel like it's an apt comparison to just say it's better than Rise of Skywalker, so I'll probably give it like a 4.5. So I mean, Avihai, you said, like it's one of those things that you just watch it and then you forget. I give it points for that because Rise of Skywalker is something I wish I could forget, and I can't. So I'm at least giving it points for that.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, and then it's definitely very the one thing Snyder is not avoiding here at all is he's extremely derivative. Like whether it's like Seven Samurai or Star Wars, he is like borrowing, stealing, and whatever. It's like it's just so much of this is derivative of other stuff, but he does it the Snyder way. Like he puts his own spin on it. It's just that it's a bit too much front and center, is how much it's derivative. Like the characterization to a degree of some of them. Like so let's just say it's like a poor man's Star Wars, essentially. Like if you like Star Wars and you like this kind of movies on a big scale, because like not all these movies are on a big scale. Some of the Star Wars ripoffs tend to be low-fi type of stuff. This is like him trying to do like a big splash type of movie, and they're rare. I don't think there's too many of them. So if you're into this stuff, I would probably like watch it, but don't get your hopes up that it's gonna be anything close to. Yeah, to like, yeah. I mean, I think it's like, to me personally, I mean, it's not that much worse than like the prequel trilogy. I don't know. I mean, that was pretty bad. Those movies were pretty bad. So, I don't know. I actually can't decide between this and like the post original trilogy, except for like
sequel trilogy.
Yeah, and the sequel trilogy too. It's adequate. It's action, but I feel like some of the characterization here, in spite of what Avihai said, is actually a bit more memorable. Like there's places where I teared up here, and we can go over that like in spoilers. Wow. But I really felt like some of the stuff I felt like he could have done more, but maybe he's leaving it for the later movies, and maybe that's a mistake because maybe they won't happen. But I did a lot of the characters, like the woman with the swords. The mother character.
Nemesis is her name, by the way.
Yeah. And the robot character I thought was interesting. The approach to some of the characterization was interesting. Titus wasn't great. Like Titus was a bit too emotional for my flavor. Also the baddie like it was actually, yeah, and we'll get into in spoilers why there's like an issue there as well. But that was also extremely derivative of Glorious Bastards. but that's okay. But yeah, but that's what I would say. If anybody else has anything to say before spoilers, we can.
Nah, I'm pretty much ready to go back. Just go ahead and jump in.
Yeah.
Cool. So spoilers. Yeah. Anybody? I guess Avihai, do you have any thoughts, like any details that you want to get into as far as stuff that bothered you about it, or maybe could have done better?
I mean, it's again. I guess I should start by saying I'm not the biggest Snyder fan. I don't necessarily hate his stuff, but I don't find it that interesting all the time. I think it looks pretty most of the time more than it just, I don't know, something about the writing just overall just didn't feel right to me. Just kind of just I don't know, the whole way through. And while we were shooting it too, like you could tell, like you see these characters' name because you see them on the call. She was like, "Oh, that's what we're calling it. Okay, all right. Oh, okay. So it's exactly like that, but just slightly different with a an I instead of an E or whatever." I forget. There was a group of mercenaries. They were called Kryptonians. I feel like that was the name, which I don't know if they addressed that actually in the movie, but that's what they were. Oh, okay, we're going with that. All right, cool. So yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I watched it and I'm kind of like these people are just standing there in the background doing nothing, and it's so, I don't know. Overall, it was kind of amusing to watch, and it was somewhat entertaining, but past that, I don't know. It was interesting to see the stunt team working because there was a stunt there all the time. They're stunt people, so that was fun to watch. And some of in the second movie where they had when the ship goes down and they're fighting, so we built this but the rigging grips built this fancy ramp that we can change the angle so they can actually fight like they're in like a falling ship. So
That's cool.
That kind of stuff for me was interesting to see because it was pretty I have not worked on that big of scale of stuff, so it was fun to watch. But as we were working on and shooting it, you kind of look at the other people working. I was like, I don't think this is going to be very good. So, and but I wanted to watch it, and I watched it again. I give it a 4.5 because I didn't feel like, because there's movies I'm like, I can't watch this all the way to the end. At least I could watch it all to the way. I watched the second one. I just wanted to see it, mostly see how it turned out, and the visual effects were nice, and like I said, the action was, for the most part, I think was pretty good. I think we could have done with maybe slightly less slow motion because there was so much slow motion. So
you cut like 85% of it out.
And the whole wheat thing too, because
that was so stupid.
They grew a wheat field in a separate part, not in the same Blue Cloud. It was a different ranch, and he was constantly looking at this field to make sure it's at the right height. And then when it reached, okay, tomorrow we're gonna go there and we film there, like harvesting the wheat.
What
I have no idea.
Grain porn.
I don't know.
The wheat porn. It's like there's just so much of it, and it's like, a lot. I have to do this in slow-mo. They have to see it. And like, what the hell is up with the story behind that? It doesn't. There's a throwaway line of dialogue that explains why they're doing this so low tech. I mean, it's not like they don't have the technology. They have like an anti-gravity floating like truck thing there that they're using to throw all the wheat on top of. So it's also not like it's some sort of stupid religious thing where they're not allowed to do it for their beliefs or something. They're just like some dumb line in the first movie where they go, "We prefer to be one with the planet," or some crap like that. And it's like, what the hell was up with these sequences. Like it's not even like a scene or a certain moment or what. It goes on, and then they keep coming back to it again and again. Like, what were they doing? This movie is more obsessed with grain and wheat than Tarantino is with feet. It's ridiculous.
But you know what? This movie has a better reason to show grain than
No,
Tarantino has to
no,
show
it doesn't.
feet.
I
There's
can-
a zero
I,
reason for Tarantino to show feet,
no,
unless it's like a sexy like scene, like he's trying to like.
I do not agree with that. I actually think that the story did not make sense in terms of that stuff. If they were saying that this wasn't wheat, if they were saying that this is like some sort of super crop where a tiny bit of it makes a ton of food or something like that and can feed a ton of people,
Or unobtainium.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you have to back that up because throughout the first movie, we get to see a bunch of other planets in their little empire or whatever. You need to see not just people struggling because there's a planet that's being overmined, not just see people struggling because of a planet that's all dusty in some far off area or whatever, not just some other thing. Like they show people struggling for various reasons. You don't see anybody like where there's just tons of people starving to death. They don't ever show you that food is super important in any way. And on top of that, they just say that this is just grain. It's just wheat is all it is. And it's so important that the amount of wheat that like 50 people can harvest in a day or two is like make or break for the galaxy. I'm sorry, but that's just stupid.
I mean, add that to the. Okay, go ahead. But
go ahead.
At the end of the second one too, which makes the wheat thing even more ridiculous, is like when Korra sneaks into the ship to like blow it up and all that stuff, and they found out they're in there. Like, all right, Korra's in there. She's the most important thing. Screw the wheat. Let's shoot it off. Shoot everybody.
Yeah, and then they throw it away. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just like, okay. Then we spend like 2 movies talking about how important this wheat is, and I'm like, oh, just fuck that. Let's just shoot everything, destroy it all, in a very, very slow cannon that moves in like I don't know what speed that was, but it was like, okay, are you gonna fire at some point, or are we just gonna watch him adjust this cannon like 40 times?
I think that you'd better watch out if the person operating that cannon is used to like using a gear head on a camera or something. They're gonna be a heck of a lot faster than that guy was.
Yeah. So I mean the whole I don't know. It was just an excuse, I guess, to make the story make sense at the beginning, but I don't know.
I guess it's kind of interesting, again, making the Star Wars comparison. Star Wars, at least the original 3 films, managed to kind of navigate this universe where they have a lot of technology that we obviously don't have in real life because it's a galaxy far, far away, and you just kind of believe it as a galaxy that just developed differently. Like they have lightsabers and they have light speed and all that stuff, but a lot of it still looks like Tunisia and everything. A lot of it still looks pretty primitive. And I can definitely see Rebel Moon trying to do a lot of that stuff, but I mean, it just goes off the wall in so many ways. Like,
many ways.
They have interstellar travel, but they use boiler rooms.
That was one of the dumbest things in the entire movie. I couldn't figure out how you can even justify that. I mean, there are movies.
Boiler room?
The big giant ship is powered by guys with shovels shoveling coal or some sort of substance.
Yeah, it was coal.
Into
it was
a boiler
coal,
room.
Yes.
It like as if it was the Titanic. Like,
don't
get me wrong.
I remember that scene, but I didn't understand exactly what was going on.
So stupid. Now there are movies where you can pull that off. Like there are whole movies. The only example that's jumping to my mind right now is a very bad one, so I'm not going to even mention it. But like, you can have a whole movie that's like steampunk, You know, you can have a movie that goes, if technology had developed this way and we were really embracing something like steam technology, maybe by now it would look like this or something like that. And maybe there would be some stuff that's reminiscent of what we have now, where we're using internal combustion or we're using electricity or various things, but it's all steam powered. You can do something like that if that's the angle you want to go with your entire movie or something like that. But you can't, it doesn't make any sense to show these spaceships flying around through the sky, showing, like I said before, like a little wagon truck thing that can just hover in the air. All these guns and technology and tanks and everything, and then to show that their big giant ship is reliant on people shoveling coal into a furnace. No, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, to be fair, the way that the Futurama ship's engine worked is shoveling dark matter into a boiler.
That's okay.
So,
Yeah.
but
I mean, one thing I was gonna say about the village itself. I mean, that part I totally bought that it's a way of life. It's not a religion, but it is to a degree.
Why? Why would they do that?
Because I don't know. I connected with that a lot because oftentimes that would happen, that if technology advanced a lot, but maybe there's unevenness as far as like mental health, let's just say, in the galaxy, in the universe, and some people would choose, not for religious reasons, but just for cultural reasons, they'll choose to just find some plot of land and work it and spend their lives doing that the old-fashioned way, like a throwback, because it's a way to pass the time. It's a way to live a good, meaningful life where you grow your own food and maybe you sell some of it to buy other stuff. And, you know, you don't make too much money. You don't make too much grain. Like, you work with your hands, so you stay active. You don't atrophy your muscles or, become like, those humans in like in Wall-E.
Okay, point, but I have a rebuttal when you're done.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's all I'm saying. And to me, that made sense. I'll give you the boiler room and stuff, and which I didn't even care. I didn't notice that. But like, as far as the village, I thought like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, and it kind of makes sense that also that Cora, when she landed there, she kind of wanted to stay there because she thought maybe she can have peace there because of everything that she's gone through. But then like this whole story keeps chasing her around the galaxy. And to defend the thing about the grain too, I had not for a second thought that they need their grain. Obviously, the whole thing was bullshit. Obviously, like what's his face? The Nazi officer. I'm trying to remember the name of
whatever his name is. Sarah.
Yeah. But I'm trying to remember the guy from like Christoph Waltz character in Landa. But in any case, but yeah, like obviously, like he knew something was going on. He knew that maybe they were fucking with him, so he was trying to make this like stupid deal that he does not need, just in order to like have an excuse to like bully them and maybe get some information out of them so he can get closer to what he needs. But I didn't buy for a second that the grain mattered.
Well, the movie seems to telegraph that it does.
Yeah.
Well, they had thought to a degree, like, but obviously, and I was proven right when he essentially said, like, who gives a shit? Just like, he didn't not only not care about the grain, he also didn't care about his own people.
I don't know if I would say that that's accurate.
Yeah, but I mean, he's gonna bomb the village even when his own.
No. I get what you're saying. I'm saying that I think the fact that Digimon, General Titus character, says the only way we're going to survive is to harvest this crap and stack it up against our buildings so that they don't bomb us from the sky. And then they were right. And then they were right about that. Seems to imply that they absolutely need this grain so bad, because otherwise they would have just done that. And then on top of that, you say that like, and then it's like proven right. I don't think the movie proved you right. I think the movie just contradicted itself.
To agree, I'll accept that to a degree, yes, because I think what needed to happen is that he needed to not figure out what's going on with the village, like because he figured it out when the one soldier, the younger soldier, was like on the thing.
Yeah.
But what needed to happen, because to me personally, if I see like a sense from like orbit that all the grain is around the buildings, obviously something's afoot. I mean, that's like problematic. Like that's a bad strategy. We would want to set up the grain in a way where like, hey, see, we have the grain. That's why we harvested it. That's why there's nothing going on here. Like Cora's not here, and we're just doing our part of the deal to lure them in. But because they had the whole back, if you want to talk about something that could have been eliminated, is the whole communication with the younger soldier. Like if they had just not known for sure, like maybe they had a hunch, but they didn't know, and they went down there, and then they would surprise them, then that would make some sense. But the fact that they knew ahead of time, you're right. There's absolutely no reason. I think the only reason why they didn't bomb them from, and this is the way you could have fixed it, is that he wanted her alive, like her
Well, he
adopted
did want
father.
her alive, but that doesn't matter. You can still bomb the place once you see where she is. But like my point I was trying to get to earlier is to rebuke what you were saying earlier, is that you can make a movie that describes what you were describing, where you actually explore the fact that in a high-tech world, there are people who want to just live a simple life. That's happening today, very, very much so in places where people just want to go live off grid and stuff like that. But I mean, if you've ever worked on a farm, just using modern farming techniques is not like you're sitting back doing nothing, getting fat like the people in Wall-E. That's not it at all. It's hard work. I mean, to say that we need to harvest this grain to survive, and we need to sell it to survive, and so on and so forth, and we're going to work our hands, and we're not going to maybe use something like certain chemicals or certain things. You want to make a statement against like monocropping or something like that. All of that makes sense. But to say we need to hook a damn plow up to a horse, a space horse, and put the damn strap over my shoulders and walk the field, plowing the field by hand, and then when it harvests, we're not going to use like a harvester machine. We're going to go by hand with like sickles. And actually, that is
Soviet
the
style.
dumbest crap. That's not even Soviet. That's like biblical. That's fucking biblical. I mean, the story about the guy, the rich man, and the ladies would follow the people behind. They show that, them picking up the individual strands of grain to like fit them together into little bundles and stuff like that. That happened in the Bible. Like, this is so stupid. And if you want to tell me that there's a benefit to it, like for instance, that somehow it centers them and it gets them more in tune with nature and whatever, and so on and so forth, you can still make that movie. But this is not that movie. They don't explore it at all. They have a throwaway line of dialogue, and then they have 20 minutes of grain porn. Wheat porn.
I don't know.
I
To me,
think it was
that
closer
stuff
to
made
30,
sense.
but yeah.
To me, it made sense, and it didn't feel like 30. It felt like 5-10 minutes.
And
but
then,
maybe.
Well, you know what? I started skipping ahead because I was like, I can't believe when I'd hold the button down and I'd see like 6 more squares, and it's just a bunch of grain, and I was like, what? It's crazy. Anyway, so and then the other thing you said, you used the phrase, how they could have fixed it. I'll tell you how they could have fixed it. Don't make it wheat. Make it some sort of space thing where it's actually valuable.
Yeah. I can buy that.
That would make it work.
He tried to stay a little too close to Seven Samurai, even though there was no harvesting there really much. No. But like they don't get into the details. Like generally there was just too much detail here. One thing I was gonna say, like as far as like the characterization and stuff, like I didn't want to mention before spoilers, is the character of what's his name, Charlie Hunnam, Kai. I felt like
Kai, yeah.
that was like sort of like a tease. That could have been like a very much like a Han Solo type of character. But I wonder if he, when he was writing the script, is like, I can't keep him for the entire movie. That'll be too much like Han Solo. So I think that's why he had him double cross her, just to like give a flavor of it, of the scoundrel. But then he's an actual scoundrel. He's not like a scoundrel with a heart of gold like Han Solo. But yeah, and then I will say, just to not forget this, is I don't know why, but Nemesis, there's like even though, and maybe it's because she doesn't speak very much, but some of her like little like subplot, like with the kid, with the knives, and and how she's like kind of given up on humanity because of what happened to her children or something, the hurt in her past, and just the fact that like this group of people welcomed her in. I don't know. There was a moment there. There was a scene that like I teared up. I was like, "This is good stuff." Like I wish the rest of the movie was this way. And I feel the same way about the robot. I felt like the robot, if they had like explored that, they left him out of it. I guess because he's planning on him becoming part of the commando unit that goes out to find this lost princess in the next movie, but I really felt like he could have been more of an asset for these two movies, and would have made them better if he had played a bigger part in them. Those are like my one of my two favorite characters. Definitely, I would say Tarak was a bit of a throwaway, like muscle guy.
Which one's that?
Is the
Tarzan looking one.
Oh, Axe Prince. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Gunner too. Like for one thing, he fucked them up the entire time, and I get it that to a degree he redeems himself in the end, and it also made perfect sense. One funny thing is like I almost didn't watch the end of the movie because I had 25 minutes left to the movie, and I was like, oh, what? We're recording today. I guess I'm ready to go. And then I was like, wait, but did I actually see the end? It's like I stopped it short, but I kind of knew where it was gonna go. I kind of knew that if anybody dies, it would be him, because he deserves it. He was the one who fucked them to begin with and put them on this path. But maybe it's gonna set things in motion to save the princess or something. But yeah, also like the fact that like he's a weasel and somehow becomes like some sort of hero. His character is, and the fact that she also likes him back and loves him.
Zero chemistry.
Yeah, the chemistry was not there. So like as far as like uneven at most, yeah, the characterization, but some of them were good. That's all I'm saying. It's just that, like I said, Snyder is like a poor man's like someone else that might do a better job. Like, but there's not too many of them out there. Like even Denis, I think we discussed, like doing the characterization wasn't amazing on all the characters, and even Nolan doesn't have a home run with every character.
That should be a T-shirt, Gil. I love that.
I don't know, but
the biggest problem is that some of them were good, only started being good in like the second movie. Like the first movie is supposed to hook you, to make you want to watch the second movie. But why did I have to wait all the way to the second movie to get a little bit of glimpses of these moments that, okay, these characters have lives and they're interesting. It's just like the first movie just didn't get me at all with any of these guys. I didn't feel anything for them. Like even when he double crossed them, Kai double crossed them. Like, I mean, this is like okay, that's I kind of saw it coming. It wasn't really a big surprise. I wasn't really like, oh my god, he did. Oh wow, this is just changing my life right now. He double crossed him. I can't believe that happened. It's just I didn't feel for any of these people in the first movie. That's why I said I like the second movie slightly better, because you started tapping into some of those characters, which made him a little more interesting. I
think the beginning of the first movie, there's something about a bit of a sense of adventure when they go on this journey to find these people, but then it gets a bit repetitive. Like as far as like each time like they find someone else, and then I feel like in the second half, what I really liked is just that the big action sequence was sort of like Return of the Jedi. Like the last hour was basically one big action sequence. But like right before it, I really, really didn't need. If you want to talk about like wheat porn, Jason, I really did not need the round table bullshit of like, let's do a flashback for this person and now a flashback for
Right.
that person. Like that could have been like a 4-minute scene of just dialogue, of just storytelling, them as actors, and it would have been just enough. I didn't need to see all their lives and the flashbacks and all
You're
that.
gonna show that shit. Do it in the first movie, for crying
Yes.
out loud.
Yeah,
Yes.
like that just wasn't necessary. And then Cora sort of repeats herself there. At least they didn't flash back to her because she's already
Oh
had a
my
flashback.
god, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bravo
So-
for not doing that.
No, so I feel like as Snyder, like it's maybe he had that problem with the Snyder cut too of like the DC
Yeah.
thing. But I feel like
Maybe?
like
Well, I mean,
less is more. Like he really needs to be about more.
Less
He should
is
watch some
more.
more Kurosawa. He'll learn what is
Please.
efficiency in
So okay,
storytelling.
since you brought it up, I'm just gonna say this. All right, you said at the beginning of this thing, maybe people watching this will at the most will encourage people to watch classics like The Seven Samurai. The Seven Samurai has been adapted countless times, and while I did like this movie more than I thought I was going to, and I do have a little small list of stuff that I thought was pretty decent in it, this is, if you want to see a better movie than Rebel Moon, watch any other version of The Seven Samurai. Watch The Seven Samurai. In 3.5 hours, you will get so much more than what this movie did in 2 movies. Watch The Magnificent Seven. You'll get a lot more than this movie did in 2 movies, and it's only 2 hours and 8 minutes long. You can watch The Bug's Life, and it's better than that. I'm going to go as far as to say that you could go ahead and watch The 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas and have a better time than this movie, because at least that movie has some blood and tits in it. This movie is so neutered. The sex scene or lack of sex scene is so horrible. Like they kiss, and then all of a sudden she's sweaty and she's laying on his chest, and they have a flashback. It is so pathetic.
Well, I can add to that, because the director's cut is an R-rated version, because we filmed everything a PG version and an R-rated version. So there is a full sex scene that took a whole day to shoot. I can tell you that. So that's coming in the, if that's
I wish they had just
appeals
released
to
that,
you
because I'm not going to watch it again. But
yeah. Well, I mean, that's
I mean-
the problem. My big question with this, with the director's cut, I could understand the director's cut for Justice League, because someone else finished his movie and he wanted to show his vision from the beginning.
Yeah,
but
he
this was his
fired,
movie
so,
from the beginning. Netflix did not limit him in any way. There was no reason we could not just start with this R-rated version right from the start. Why do we need
or
this?
why not just have both? Like you just click one or the other, you know?
Yeah,
I guess you can have the options, but like, why do I have to wait like months now to get an extra hour of R-rated? If that's what you wanted to show, then just show that. Netflix didn't say don't do it. It's just a way to make more money, but I think it's going to backfire on them, because the 2 first movies did so poorly that very few people are going to tune in. I'm like, I got to sit through this again just to find a little scene and everything. Like the scene in the beginning in the long house when they're all talking, cheering about the grain and all that stuff. The R-rated version was like, oh, do this and fuck this and let's go fuck and let's do this. And then the PG version was like, oh, let's go fornicate. And I was like, I'm like, okay, why are we doing this like this? It's just so stupid. When you hear it, you're like, I'm standing outside. I'm like hearing them doing it 2 different times. I'm like,
oh my God.
Just like, it's just stupid.
I defend Zack Snyder a lot more than a lot of people do, but because I love 300, and I think it's like one of the best action movies ever made. But 300 got the slow-mo stuff right, because there's a thing that happens with slow motion. You're doing it to show incredible detail that your eye would not be able to really pick up if you just showed it in regular time, just playing out like a normal situation. And you get these things in that movie where that movie being 300, where like a sword or a spear will like get into somebody and you see the blood splurting as the camera's panning around them or zooming past them or doing some sort of thing. And then it's like, it's chaotic and it's beautiful and it's like something you'd never seen before. in this movie, they film the action scenes the same way. And I laughed so hard. I comedically threw my head back laughing at the end when the general guy and the axe prince are like fighting the troops back across that bridge. It was so comical because it's like, for every little bit that actually was like well thought out, where you're like, oh, at least they thought about that action scene. That's kind of interesting how they thought to do that. That's different and that's whatever. Then you get scenes where it's like, oh, the axe prince guy is going to chase these guys with two hatchets in his hand. What the hell is that? Some of the old little farmers have guns. Why does this guy not have a gun? And then he kills like 10 guys and they all have rifles in their hands and he doesn't pick any of them up until the very end of the fight. What is going on here? It doesn't even make sense. But what I was getting at is there's this moment where in a very 300-esque way, the two of those characters are plowing through troops and it's so slow motion and he's got this big hatchet in his hand and this guy charges at him and he kicks his legs out from under him and the guy hits the ground and he takes this axe, this hatchet, and he goes bop right on his head. Just a little bop. And because it's slow motion, you see every bit of it and you see this fake axe just bop this dude in the head and then he just like keeps moving. And it's so slow that you get to watch every stupid, unrealistic moment of every frame of it as he just goes bop with the edge of this axe that should be cleaving into this guy's face. And instead, it's just like a styrofoam thing. That's the double-edged sword of slow motion. And when you use it as much as that, when you overuse it as much as Zack Snyder does in this movie, you have that problem. Now, if you were to just make this thing a hard R with digital blood all over it, like 300, maybe that wouldn't be as much of a problem. It'd still be a problem, but it wouldn't be as much of one. But this movie is just relying on it so much, and it looks bad mostly. There's a couple scenes that look very nice, but most of it's pretty bad.
I'm curious, like, your thoughts on, didn't it bother you that, especially, and maybe this is because it was split up to two movies, that she kills him in the bad guy in the first movie, but then he comes back to life? Like, wouldn't it make sense that maybe some other evil person would come into the picture or something? Like, would have made it somewhat more like of a part one, part two? I don't know why that bothered me so much that they brought him from the dead.
I get what you're saying. For me, the better solution would have been to make one movie, but
yeah.
Yeah, which for streaming, yeah, you could have. I mean, like I said, I didn't realize Seven Samurai is like over 3 hours.
It's a long one, yeah.
I mean, I think this could have been one movie, maybe like just around 3 hours, but I think but yeah, it's
that's
it's
what
tough.
the director's cut's gonna be, so combine them, you'll have about 6 hours of a movie, I think.
Yikes. Right now it's 4.
No, I'm talking the whole thing 3 hours.
Yeah, the whole
No,
thing.
I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying I think they're adding an extra hour on each movie for the director.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So
Like
just
Hobbit.
throwing this out there, Gil, like to give an example of what I'm talking about. You mentioned of something that I agree was pretty well done with the sword carrying woman, Nemesis, yeah, her character and the little boy. It's not like that was bad. I think it was fine. It was all right. And actually, of all those stupid backstory scenes, hers was the best one. It was short, it was sweet, and it was visceral. So I liked that, but if you want something that is completely aping, just look at the Charlie Bronson storyline in the Magnificent Seven. That's what it is. It's like in just 2 hours, the Magnificent Seven does so much more drama with this story than this does in 2 movies. You know, if you're going to tell this story of the warriors coming to be honorable and defend the downtrodden who have no way of defending themselves against the bigger force and so on and so forth, and you're going to tell that story, like there's some inherent drama in that story that the better versions of this of these movies, this story, have all addressed, and this one just glossed over or didn't cover at all. You know, like you get stuff like in both Magnificent Seven and the Seven Samurai, spoiler for the people who haven't seen that, you know, like there's moments where it's like, yes, we asked these people to come defend us, but we're bumpkin farmers, and they're killers of men kind of people. And even though we asked them to come, both of those movies address this thing where they're like, we need to hide all of our young girls because they don't trust them. And then the warriors in each story get pissed off when they're like, we came here to defend you and you thought we were going to do that? Like, you think we're as bad as the people that you're fighting? Like, you know, they're offended by it. You know, that's drama. That's interesting. There's none of that in this. But to get back to the point, that scene with the little boy and the nemesis character, like that's just like Charlie Bronson, you know, like she doesn't want anything to do with the little kid, and he's trying to mess with her, he's trying to play with her, you know, and she's just like, you know, doesn't want anything to do with him. And then she still manages to inspire him, just like his character. And the whole thing of like the young boys admiring Charlie Bronson and him just not wanting nothing to do with them. And then in the scene where, again, spoilers if you haven't seen the movie, where he gets shot down and he's dying, he's like, you know, he had just gotten done telling the kids, like, don't look up to me. You should look up to your parents. They're the ones who had the courage to have kids. He's like, I didn't want a family because I didn't, you know, I was afraid to take on that responsibility. I'm just living the life of a single guy, you know. And then he's lying there shot up, and the little kids run up to him that he died saving them. And they're like, we're sorry that you're dying because of us. And he just says something like, it's okay. Like, that's what I came here for. And they tell him, like, don't worry, we're going to put flowers on your grave. And that's like when you see his eyes, like, you know, feel like some sort of relief, like it's okay for him to die. You know, that's some drama right there. You know, and granted, this scene was good. You know, the one with the little kid, and he runs up and stabs the guy and tries to save her, and then she stabs him with the same blade. It's cool. It was good. But like, you know, that movie's 2 hours long, and they explore all of that. They explore other stuff too that I'm not even getting into. There's so much more depth in every aspect of the story in these other versions. And this movie had 4 hours and 2 movies to do it.
Yeah, no, there's definitely an aspect of like Snyder could learn from himself. Just
yeah.
Like if he was like, and maybe I don't know what it is, if he needed like a second eye or maybe a more adept writer, because I guess the other writers, one of them was like the writer on 300, and one of them is the writer, I guess, like on some of the John Wick movies, like 3 and 4. But I feel like if even just in the edit, if you look at the edit, it's like, oh, this works and this doesn't, and I have to kill that baby. And if he had like killed all these babies and just say like, you know, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have shot all those, like, you know, flashbacks. We should do a reshoot and just have them talk like very quickly, briefly, or just all together, like, you know, don't even get into it. Like, but like, it's just it's like finding those moments, like you said, the Bronson thing. It's like about really honing in is what's the essential thing to get this across, and definitely try to spread it out. Don't like have a sitting at a table and then like you go from one to the other. It's it's like 12 Angry Men. You know, it's just like you really have to like move things along, but it also didn't work in the first one when they're hopping from one planet to the next and they keep finding these people.
Right.
Like it could feel a bit episodic, so you have to be smoother about the way. And he did it with some of them, but not with all of them. And I don't know what would have made it better, but I think just more work on the script and just shooting less. I don't know.
Dare I say, the Mandalorian episode where they're doing the Seven Samurai is a little more compelling than this.
I believe that. I mean, I'm trying to remember if I even saw it, but
it was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest problem for him is, from the little bit I've worked with him, he's a bit of a control freak. So I think the problem is sometimes when you shoot a movie, like you said, it's good to have a second eye, second opinion. You know, if like
Always.
he was probably in the editing room every single day saying, "I want this, I want that." And even if the editor suggested we should cut this, he'd be like, "No, this stays." You know, so I think he needs to maybe be able to. That's my. I don't know if that's what actually happened, but that's what it looked like it happened. He had his idea, his vision, and he's not letting go of anything, no matter if people tell him, "I don't think this works here," but I think he just kind of. I think it works. I think it needs to stay, and nobody's telling him otherwise. You see him when he's shooting it. Nobody's telling him anything. He's doing what he wants to do. If anything, he adds stuff on the fly because he's just like, oh, it'd be cool to do this shot. Let's do this real quick. And nobody's saying, no, we can't do that. Nobody said that to him at all. So I think that would be helpful for him to have someone like that to tell him what to do. Because his writing partner, who's, by the way, used to be a grip, just a fun fact. I think they just kind of like he just helps to, put it down in script form, but the idea is all Zack Snyder. It's all his. And so I don't know. I think maybe going forward for him, it would be helpful if he would maybe listen to other people.
I have no idea if it's true or not, but that's the feeling I get when I watched the old 2005 King Kong. Like Peter Jackson is just coming off the most successful trilogy in decades. He's like king of the world kind of situation. They're like, what do you want to do? And he's like, I want to make King Kong. And I love his movie. I love King Kong. But like that movie is self-indulgent. Like it needs to be cut up. Like there's so much stuff that could be cut from that movie.
Yeah. And one thing that I keep coming back to is like, all my years of, I mean, I'm with Jason, by the way, too, and that like, I love 300. I actually probably like Watchmen more than most people. And by the way, Gil, like you were talking about Zack Snyder as a, action director. I mean, Batman versus Superman was a bad movie, but particularly that action sequence where Batman is just fighting a bunch of goons and everything. That is one of the best that is one of the best fight scenes that I've seen in a movie in a long time. He is a fully competent filmmaker. The thing is, I will say that through a lot of his career, I kind of felt like he was at least in my mind, a slightly more respectable Michael Bay, in that, like he has a great visual sense, and there was a lot of me thinking, maybe he would be a really spectacular cinematographer, and maybe as opposed to being, just kind of a hit or miss director and everything like that. And I still kind of think that if he were a cinematographer working for a director who is not him, he would probably be pretty damn good at it.
Agreed.
I agree. I agree with that.
But the thing is, this goes back to Army of the Dead too, where it's just like, I think when he is both the director and the cinematographer, he just finds himself in this place of, again, no restraint. And I mean, I just remember watching Army of the Dead in the theater and having a close-up of Dave Bautista, and like his eyes are in focus and his nose is out and his forehead is out. I mean, that is how paper thin the focus is. And it's just like every shot in the movie too. I mean, it's not even like there are just selective moments where it's just like, hey, this might be cool if we have like a tilt shift effect or something, and we're just focused on this really small area of the screen. It's every shot. And I could see a lot of this in Rebel Moon too. And I mean, we already talked about the slow motion, but I mean, on top of that, I mean, I think that he's found a couple of gimmicks that are really impractical and really hard to do visually, optically, and are a real grind on your camera crew. And if he had a separate cinematographer there, like, running his crew, and like, just having that buffer of, I get that you want to shoot everything on a T1.2. You're killing my guys, dude. Like, just let us stop down a little bit for this one scene, please. We're sitting on a mutiny. Like, just. Just having that one voice in your ear. It doesn't even have to be a voice of authority. Just having that extra voice where it's somebody else's job to do this. I mean, you're still in charge, you're still in control, obviously, but just having somebody, be the voice of reason, and, having that filter is probably really important for him.
I would think so.
It is very important. And you could tell on the set too. It's like he had no downtime. There are people had questions about the next scene, and when you go into production and you just kind of trying to figure out what's happening next. But he's so focused on the current shot and what's happening, he has no time. So it's just, I think it would be very beneficial for him to have an extra. But I mean, it's. I get what he wants to do, and it's nice, and he definitely has a very good visual sense, and I think he would be a fantastic cinematographer. But when he tries to do all of it, all on his own, and such a big scale, this was like a $200 million budget to put two movies. It was a huge undertaking. It's just, I think you need a little more assistant, but I think he thrives off of it. You could tell he loves this. He wants this. So I don't think he's ever going to change his way. If anything, he's really excited that you could hear him talk that he didn't have to use a DP. He was so excited. I can do this myself. I don't need anybody. It's just like you hear him talk. It's just like it's not going to move in the right direction. It's just continue to be like this, in my opinion.
Not a lot of self-reflection. I do think it's an interesting subject of conversation. I wonder what DPs feel about, like, whether it's like Paul Thomas Anderson and as like Alfonso Cuarón, or some other recent ones, but like there's several, like,
guy, why am I blanking on his name? Traffic and
Soderbergh.
Yeah, he's always like kind of sort of like he's similar to Rodriguez, that he's kind of so hands-on that it made sense. It's a natural thing for him. But Paul Thomas Anderson and Alfonso Cuarón, I mean, they worked with some really good cinematographers, and they're such precise filmmakers that you wouldn't think that they would want to drown their checklist with having to worry about they obviously always have a say about what the lighting's going to be like, but to remove some of the extra thought, the communicating with the gaffer and all that stuff, like, because obviously the gaffer is essentially the DP. Like he's like an assistant DP, because he needs to help. If it's the director that's asking for the lighting, the gaffer is the one that has to fill in all the gaps, but without actually having the title of a DP. So it's such a weird thing. I'm not completely against it. I just wonder what DPs think about it, because it's very high profile directors that are doing this. I mean, it is true to a degree that you could do it. It's just that it's a lot of extra computation that your mind needs to go through that it's not necessary if you have a crew.
I think it's fine in a smaller scale movie, but this was such a big scale. It was two movies. There's too much, It's like if you're just doing one kind of more of a simple movie, you can make it work, but it's just, this was too big to have it all on just one person.
Film is a collaborative art.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, but yeah, it makes for. I mean, it looked good. It definitely suffered a bit. I was like, the last shot. Like, I think one of the last shots when she's like, the Cora is like some of the lighting there was just uneven. It's like, oh, this could have been fixed so easily. Maybe they were rushing or something, but like the lighting on her was just bad. And the lighting on the person right next to her, who's not as an important a character, I think it was a Titus, like was much better lighting. And I don't know if it's because of the black complexion, just read the lighting better. I think because it was kind of like a twilight lighting, and I was like, it looks very lit. It doesn't look very natural. But they could have tweaked it to get it just right. But it's okay, you know.
Is anybody else bothered by the fact? Not bothered, but confused by the fact that this is like a big space opera-esque, space world type thing, and it's not like Dune where all the characters are human, but it's like, or used to be human in that sense. It's like, a more traditional sci-fi space world. They travel to all these other worlds and show you handfuls of other alien species in bars and other scenes and things like that. And yet and it's an ensemble movie with a big ensemble cast, and every single character is human. Like, it's weird. Like Star Wars in 1977, they barely had enough money to make like the robots and Chewie, and they still had them as major characters. They have the cantina scene, and they were so low on money that they just grabbed this like Halloween store werewolf mask and put it on a dude. Like they were just making that movie by the seat of their pants and whatever, that strange expression. But like, you look at like, Star Trek and all the movies that have come since then and stuff, like you've always got like a Klingon, or you've got like a Vulcan, you've got, robot characters and things like that. Yes, there is a robot character, but he barely makes an appearance in the movie. Like, why is this a Magnificent Seven story with 7 heroic characters? And aside from the robot that barely makes an appearance, they're all human. It's very weird.
I think when they went to get the Tarzan character, Tarek, I think they should have taken the bird and left Tarek.
Yeah, and there's I'm just going to go ahead and just keep going with this. What's up with that? Yes, I would have liked them to have taken the bird. That would have been cool. But what's with that? Like, along the whole line of this being a very derivative movie, like, so, okay, you want to tell this story about the guy, and then he's on an alien world where they have these griffin-like creatures. But then, like, in Star Wars, they make things slightly different. Like they did it with the horse. The horse is a little bit different. It's like a big Clydesdale with no tail, and then it's got this weird bony thing on its head. Okay, that works. All throughout Star Wars, they do the same thing. Oh, this is like a such and such type of animal. It's a little bit different. A little different here. It's almost like 2 animals that put together kind of thing, whatever. Are we going to do anything different with it? Nah, just straight up Griffin, right out of Greek mythology. That's all it is. Like, where's the sci-fi? Like, where's the imagination here? I don't get it.
It's unfortunate because like there was some imagination, I felt like, with the robot design.
Yeah. I like the robot.
Yeah,
the robot made me, especially his neck. I liked his neck, and I liked he reminded me of some of the robots you see in that movie that came out last year, the Creator. I thought that one had good robots too. But yeah, the robot was good. I liked the robot. I just wish I saw more of him.
That was all visual effects, by the way. There was a guy in a blue screen suit.
Oh, the robot.
Nice.
Yeah. I think one thing I should say before we wrap up is the, like, because one thing Jason said that I think was very correct is at some point you said like, I'm not gonna watch this again because of the sex just to see a sex scene, but yeah, like that's a very good point. This is not very rewatchable, especially like when it's like 2 movies that are both over 2 hours. Like it doesn't have the appeal of like a Star Wars trilogy that I might revisit, like the prequel or the sequel, especially with my kids. But that said, I haven't seen The Lord of the Rings the second time, and Jason wants to kill me for that. And I guess maybe we should do an episode about that. There'll be an excuse to rewatch it, but I guess I'm sort of waiting for my kids. to be old enough to watch it with me. But but I do want to rewatch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But this I'm not sure. Like, but what I will say, on a positive note, I do want to go on the journey with them. If they get a chance to to film the next movies, I do want to see where this goes. There's some interesting characters there. I think the robot will be refreshing if he was more involved in the movie, because his code of honor is one of the most intriguing characterization in this whole thing. That he kind of stayed away from it because of his code of thing, like that he's only built for one thing, but now that's what he's gonna go after. With this like searching for the princess. So I mean, I would watch it, like because I'm sort of like I'm sold on it, even though I wouldn't want to revisit this specific story, but maybe that's why this could have been like more of like a needed to be like a prestige TV show or something instead of a movie. If he wants to like have it be so long, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, last I heard, it's supposed to be 6 movies and an additional TV show as a spin-off.
Oh, wow.
So that was the plan originally, but as of now, it's all up in the air. So nobody knows if the next one's doing, because I haven't gotten word.
Yeah.
Before we finish, I wouldn't mind saying a few positive things because it's not too much on the list here. But I thought the production design around their weird jar, like hologram television communication system was kind of cool. Like if you're going to try to come up with a sci-fi tech version, like, not Earth tech way of communicating and stuff like that. I thought that was, I'll just say, way better than the stupid liquid metal thing that they had in Man of Steel. Made a lot more sense, and it would be far more useful. Like you see with them turn the thing sideways, and then they get like a nice panorama thing, whatever. It was just way better. The gun thing was kind of cool with the it's like firing a blast, and then when it hits something, it's almost like a liquid metal like type of thing. Like when I say liquid metal, I don't mean like T1000. I mean like superheated metal, look. It was kind of cool. They were pretty inconsistent about what they would go through and what they wouldn't go through, so that was kind of annoying. And then I thought the lightsaber fight at the end was cool, especially like the part that Avihai mentioned when the floor tilts because the ship is moving. It didn't last very long, but that portion where they're like suddenly on a tilted floor and the two of them are just like swinging away at each other, I thought that looked pretty good. I thought it could have ended a little better, but I when they see the thing slam into the ground, and it's like sticking in there, and then the two of them land next to it and start fighting hand to hand, I thought she was going to take his body and throw it into the blade. I thought that would have been a lot cooler death for him, but it's all good.
Well, I'm sure she's going to kill him 4 more times if there's going to be more movies. So.
Yeah, and then that's a good point. I would say too is that I didn't dislike the Korra character and actress, but apparently she was in one of the Star Trek movies, in the makeup.
Yeah, she was in Beyond.
Yeah,
she was in The Mummy too, I think. The
Mummy.
Yeah, the recent one.
I liked her a lot in The Kingsmen, the Kingsmen, the first movie that they made. She was excellent in that. I think she's a good actress, but I think she's really inconsistent in this movie, and I don't even think it's her fault. I think it's some of the dialogue or something. But when I see her fighting in this movie, I believe it. Like some of the fighting's kind of dumb looking because of the way that they shoot it in certain ways with like the slow-mo and whatever, lack of blood and stuff like that. When you got all these knives that people are using and there's not a drop of blood, it's really odd to see all the slow-mo. But anyway, I believe it when she starts screaming or when she starts fighting and she starts kicking somebody in the face, stuff like that. She's pretty good. And then there's like moments where she's talking with either the guy that she likes at the end or the general. She has a lot of scenes where they're talking and stuff like that. Or even Charlie Hunnam in the first movie, when they're on the ship talking and stuff. And there's moments where it's like I get this feeling of like this weird inconsistent emotion, and I don't understand where it's coming from, but it's I don't know. I thought she was really good in that Kingsman movie, but this one she was okay.
Yeah, it's a big movie to carry, and
It is.
and I'm definitely not opposed to the whole like kick-ass female character. Like that stuff I bought. Like I totally bought that she just trained her entire life and she's that good. But just yeah, it's tough. It's tough to cast that kind of role. Like that's, you know. Yeah.
You know what? What you just said right there, Gil, that might be one of the best positive things I can say about this movie is that it is a movie with a lead female character doing a lot of action stuff. And I never got a sense of her being some stupid, poorly written Mary Sue type character where there's like no reason why she's so good at kicking the crap out of people that are bigger than her. She struggles when she fights, and they did a good job with that. What they didn't do a good job with was some of the stuff like for instance, the very first action scene in the movie takes place almost 40 minutes into the movie. It's ridiculous. But when she's trying to save the young girl from getting raped, it's like, at first it's cool. She's swinging the axe around. She's taking their weapons and killing them and whatever. And then once again, problem with slow motion, you cut to a POV shot of the captain holding the girl hostage with her as a human shield, his gun aimed at her. You can see that he's got his sights on her and none of his men are in the way, and he's just not firing. The shot, I mean the shot within the film within the movie, I mean, goes on for like 3 seconds straight of you see her punch a guy, kick a guy, swing a weapon at a guy, and he's like got his weapon on her and he's just not shooting. Why? I don't know. But anyway, like you said, Gil, I think that they definitely, all the problems I have are more from like a filmmaking standpoint, not at all from her as an actress or as a character, how they wrote her character. I thought that is one of the strongest things about it, that I believed what she was doing. I didn't think there was anything super unrealistic about what she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I did. I thought it was ballsy of them to kill off the chump at the end. You know, I mean, they did it better in Alita. You know, it was much more meaningful in Alita. I thought the characters had actual chemistry, so I cared about it when he died in Alita. But I was surprised.
The miscast Joe.
Yeah. I was surprised when the guy died. I was like, hey, they killed off the chump.
Were you surprised? Like, I actually thought it made sense. I was like,
no,
somebody has to die.
It made perfect sense. I mean, it's a magnificent 6, and yet only 2 people died. It's pretty weak. But
yeah, exactly. I was like, not enough people died here. I think Tarek could have died. Yep. I mean, I think what's her face, Nemesis died, right?
Yeah, she died.
Yeah, that's something. She was meaningful.
That was good. That was, like I said, one of the best scenes in the movie. You got this Tarek Prince guy running around with 2 hatchets in his hand in a gunfight against 100 guys coming at him, and somehow he's alive. I don't understand that at all. But,
well, that one guy died in the first movie, the Blood Axe, and jumped Ray on the Fisher. Thing. He was.
You know what? I gotta say, I didn't write that down. He's as an actor, he was better in this than he was in Justice League. A little.
Oh, that's the guy from the rebellious group, right?
With the long hair.
He gets replaced by the other one, the woman.
He's like lieutenant or something.
Yeah.
Once again, perfect example of what I'm talking about. Like, the actor did an okay job. The story, you want to say that there's this strangely shaped spaceship flying in the sky that looks like an A-wing from Star Wars, but turned up on its nose. Very odd. I don't understand why they would design a ship like that, but whatever. You got this ship floating right there in the sky, and all these people on these floating platforms within a planet. And okay, I'm down with that. And then the big action sequence starts, and this guy, who's a very noble warrior, sees that this guy in this little gun pod on this ship is about to basically kill all of his friends and him. And he decides, I'm going to kill this guy. And like on paper, I'm like, that's great. We're gonna have a noble scene where he like sacrifices himself to do this. Execution was horrible. Doesn't make any sense. So he needs to kill the guy. He's got a rifle in his hands and he drops it on the ground to grab a pointy piece of metal and then do this dramatic run up a ramp and lunge himself a la, Matthew McConaughey in Reign of Fire in this like suicidal leap to stab the thing through the cockpit and kill the guy. Like, you could have just shot him. And it's not like the glass was bulletproof. Like, after he stabs the thing through and misses the guy pulls a pistol out and shoots it through the exact same canopy and kills him. So why not just shoot him? It's so stupid. And I mean, I get it. It was a pretty cool scene. I would have liked for them to justify a reason why he needed to run up there and do that and sacrifice himself. But there's no reason. It doesn't make any sense. It's like a could have been cool moment ruined by no logic within the context of the action that they're showing you on the screen.
I just noticed that the actress who played Milius, who's the girl that replaced the other guy, Elise Duffy, she was like in like 4 or 5 shorts in like 2020, 2021, 2022, and then like Rebel Moon. That's it. Like that was like her first big break. I guess.
I was happy to see Zack Snyder bring Jenna Malone back. I always like seeing any movie with Jenna Malone in it.
Yeah, who was she? I mean,
she
like
was the spider.
The big spider.
Oh, she was the spider. Yeah, that I wouldn't have.
Once again,
that.
why are all it's very speciesist. I don't understand why are all the villains the aliens? Why don't we get
Why? I mean, that's kind of shows that Zack Snyder maybe he'll receive that criticism and work on it if he makes more sci-fi. If not this, maybe something else. But yeah, like it is a problem. I agree that there's definitely all these criticism. It's why I didn't give it an 8 or 9. Obviously, like I just felt like that as a movie, it's enjoyable. Like it was a fun time. It was a bit like laborious. Like it didn't need to be as long. But with streaming nowadays, like I probably would have hated it if this was like a theatrical release that was 4 hours long. But because it was like streaming and I watch it like in 30-minute bites whenever I get time to like, that's why I felt like it almost felt like a season of a TV show.
Yeah.
But a very good, like the scope of it and I like the fact that it's a very self-confined like story. That's what I like about movies over TV shows is that they don't go on forever. This felt like a bit like that, but not as bad as some TV shows.
I just watched one of these things that was like highly recommended, and this is not the first time this has happened to me recently. It's like the 3rd time. But you just described like the benefit of a movie being like a simple, self-contained, one and done thing. I don't know why I'm more sensitive to this with documentaries, but have you guys noticed that like lately that's like a thing on these like streaming networks and stuff that to fund a project or to buy a documentary, I guess is the best way to put it, and put it on your streaming service and put it out to the people, distribute it to the people. But for people to be making documentaries that are not movies, but instead are series, I don't know why. I don't like it. I feel like just if you got something to say and you're going to make a documentary, just make it a movie. Even make it a long movie. Give me a 2-hour documentary if you've got a lot to say. But don't give me 5 40-minute episodes.
Oh, the docuseries. Yeah.
Docuseries, not a fan.
That's definitely like, if reality show was the what like took over TV in the 2000s in the 21st century, I feel like streaming is why we have docuseries, because all these streaming services, like there's like it's not an hour and a half is not good enough. We need 6-7 hours because we need them hooked for a while. And because documentaries are cheaper to make, and if they're engaging enough, and if it's a streaming service, you have more patience for it because you just take it in small bites. It's yeah, I agree, but still somehow I fall prey to it, and I've watched a few of them by now.
I think your explanation is excellent because I hadn't thought about any of that, and it definitely seems to track. Recently, it's not the first one I saw, but recently, after it was getting all these good reviews, I watched that Quiet on the Set one about the kids being abused on Nickelodeon and stuff like that. It's like 4 or 5 episodes long, and each one's probably 30 to 40 minutes or something like that. Probably 30 minutes each or something like that. I'm telling you, you could take that footage as is and make a pretty compelling, like maybe 110-minute documentary. That's all that needed. It did not need 4 or 5 episodes of half an hour each. There's so much fluff in it. It's so unnecessarily long.
Yeah, it's interesting the way stuff evolves. But at least it's slightly better than reality show. Like at least like then if you like the subject, it's kind of like a book. You know, a docuseries is like it's like reading a nonfiction book. You just get more into the details than you would otherwise in an hour and a half movie, and you have a choice to skip episodes or like not watch it. You could try to find a different documentary that didn't do it as a docuseries or something. But
yeah,
true. Yeah, it's yeah, I've watched several of those. That's just if it's interesting, it's just a more in-depth thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Any other thoughts on Rebel Moon before we wrap up?
I just had one, and it's not directly about Rebel Moon. You can take it; doesn't have to be on the episode if you don't want to. But I wanted to ask you guys something because when I was watching this movie, it started making me think about a conversation I had about another movie, and it got me thinking about a concept of filmmaking and storytelling in general, I guess. But this movie, as we already said, is like really derivative, right? And that's not a good thing. Like movies shouldn't, or stories in general, you don't want your thing to be criticized as derivative. That's bad, but so when I watch this thing, that's how I feel. I see scenes, and I'm not saying that, I watched the whole thing. It was worth watching, whatever. But when I see certain things, I'm like, that's just this version of that. This is taken from this, and this is taken from that, and so on and so forth. And that's the feel I get from it. And then when I see something brilliant that someone does, and it can be something funny, like Hot Fuzz, where they're very clearly doing like an homage and a send up to a certain thing, and it's funny. Or it could be something serious where they're just the same thing. It's like, this is what we're kind of going for. Think about the hundreds of times people have made a reference to like 2001 or something like that. I mean, there's like so many examples of people doing this well, right? And this kind of like this concept of when something is derivative and when it's not suddenly became this thought in my head after a year ago, when I was having a conversation with my brother and his wife, and they had just gotten done watching what was my favorite movie of the entire year, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I loved it, and my brother loved it, and his wife was like, didn't like it. And I was like, really? I was just kind of surprised, and I was like, what didn't you like about it? And she goes, she was like, it's all just taking crap from other things. And she's like, I was like, didn't you think that Ratatouille was like the greatest thing you'd ever seen? It was the funniest thing. I laughed so hard. And she's like, that's just kind of playing off of that raccoon and Guardians of the Galaxy, and of course, obviously the most direct reference, which is the Ratatouille movie from the Disney thing. And it's just, that's popular right now, and that's, so they just made a reference to it, just like a kind of a shoulder shrug was her, reaction to the whole movie. And to me, I was almost kind of dumbfounded because I was like, it's baffling to me that something that I found so clever and so well done as what I would call like a send up to something that was previously made and not at all derivative would by another person be seen as just simply derivative and not interesting. And I don't know what you guys think about that, but that it was very fascinating to me, and I started thinking about it a lot with this movie.
I think it depends on how many times it's done, and also if it's humorous. Usually, then it's like poking fun at, like, you know,
Usually.
something that came before. But yeah, I think the main issue that I have with Zack Snyder is, like, for you said, The Mandalorian is the best example. Like, Favreau, like when he started that show, he had the right approach. It's like Lucas was inspired by samurai movies to write Star Wars. Let's bring it back to the samurai, like the samurai slash like Western like genre, and make this like lone gunman in the Wild West of space, and have that be the approach. But that's it. That's it. Like, just have that log line in your head, but don't start copying scenes, moments, lines of dialogue. Just have that in the back of your head, and then just let originality do its course. Like, let your creativity come up with what comes next, but have that seed in there. But I think Zack Snyder is like stayed a bit too close, and you know, like I said, it's been done. Bug's Life and the westerns that were done, like Magnificent Sevens, a couple of them, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, if you're gonna do a remake, just do a remake. But this is not a remake. This is a reimagining. But I think he could have kept it looser, like more loose than it was.
I like the way you put that.
Well, yeah. The only thought that I have lingering about this is there is a positive message that everybody should get from the very existence of Flower Moon. Sorry, Rebel Moon. I don't know why I said Flower Moon.
You're thinking of that other movie.
Killers.
Yeah.
I guess there are killers
of the
in
Flower
this
Moon.
movie.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Also a long
but
movie.
Yeah. But I mean, it is just one of those things where, like, yeah, if you are going to, I mean, as I already said, you know, like, you've got a Star Wars idea, doesn't pan out, you know, here's the thing. This is why I like Zack Snyder so much more than I like Kathleen Kennedy, so much more than I like J.J. Abrams, so much more than I like a lot of these people who aren't broadly hated in cinema, who probably should be. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy more so than J.J. Abrams, but it's just like, you know, if you've got an idea that you think is like Star Wars-esque and it doesn't really fit, just make a different IP. I mean, it's not actually that hard. We all know that this was a Star Wars idea to begin with. You know, just go out and make it. Yeah, this time it was a swing and a miss, but, you know, at least people aren't like trying to tar and feather Zack Snyder for like, you know, inserting himself again into Star Wars unwillingly, without, and completely fucking up the thing that we all know and love and all have known and loved for so long. And I mean, it's kind of the same thing with, you know, Seth MacFarlane and the Orville. I mean, we know that Seth MacFarlane has been wanting to do a Star Trek series for a long time, and they decided to go with J.J. Abrams. And, you know, I mean, Seth MacFarlane is Star Trekking better than Star Trek has for a long time with the Orville. But even if the Orville completely crashed and burned, at least, you understand it as an homage. At least you understand it, you know, as like inspired by Star Trek in a long way, but at least it's a different IP, and it gives him a little bit more freedom. And he's not going to piss off the fan base.
That's a really good example.
And I mean, as a lifelong Star Trek fan, I mean, I'm a bigger fan of the Orville now than I am of anything that is Star Trek that's come out in the last 15 years. So, I mean, just do that. I mean, don't stick yourself into these places that people don't want you with these established fan bases, with the established IP, with the established universe, and the established rules, and the established what made the thing iconic to begin with. Just go off and do your own thing, and it can be adjacent to that thing, and just see if it works out. And if it doesn't, then you've got Rebel Moon. If it does, you've got the Orville.
Yeah, he just needs a bit more self-reflection, Snyder, to get better with the next one.
Yeah,
you gotta wonder what would happen though if he did get to do it, sell it to Lucas and stuff like that, and didn't get to do it within the Star Wars universe. He would have had more probably say. Like other people would have more say in what was happening. Would that have helped or made it worse? You gotta wonder what would happen in that scenario too.
Different universe. If only we could jump over
because
there.
It seems like it didn't help with the DC universe. I mean, he definitely did his own thing, but I think Lucas was smart to turn him down because I think he saw that it was a bit too close. It's like, no, we're not gonna do a Seven Samurai Star Wars movie. Like that doesn't make that's too close. Like so I think Lucas was smart to that extent, but I don't know. I would have liked to see like Spike Jonze. He reached out to Lucas to do a Star Wars movie, but nobody's given him a shot yet.
Yeah.
But he's also an oddball filmmaker. So again, maybe Lucas was right to turn him down. But I think Soderbergh too like reached out to Lucas in the early 2000s to direct a Star Wars movie. It's like all these directors that are oddballs that you do wonder if like one of them would have like made like a home run trilogy or something. I don't know.
I know this is off topic, but you're talking about people getting a chance to do their Star Wars movie. I saw someone make a pitch on this website the other day where it's just saying comedy Star Wars movie, and it's just like it's a movie or a show that is like almost like The Office, where it's just follows the life of an Imperial officer on the Executor Super Star Destroyer. And he's playing this dangerous game of like, he's so happy to be there because Vader keeps choking and killing these high-ranking people. So everyone keeps ranking up faster and faster than they really have any business doing. And he's just like, oh, my career is going so good. But he keeps trying to like knock himself down a bit to like a lower thing so that he's not working up on the bridge because he doesn't want to die. And so it's just like this give and take of like, oh, my career is going so good, but I have to make sure I do something wrong. So I stayed in this part of the ship, and I just have to make sure that when this happens, I don't do this and this,
I recently saw like this short clip of like someone was saying, I should find it, but like it was something about like, remember this guy in in Star Wars, the guy in the meeting with Darth Vader, who's like was shitting on the bosses like superstitious who's got like supernatural powers. Like that's kind of that's like a daring move to do at work. And obviously it gets choked almost to death, but
that scene is a perfect example of why George Lucas shouldn't have messed up the story, but that's a whole nother thing.
But I guess I think that the conclusion from all this is that people really need a person that can be completely honest with them and just cut them to size. Like if something is not working, to just like, hey, listen, this doesn't work. It's like, maybe that's why the Coen brothers have it right.
I was just gonna say that. I was right there with you.
Yeah, I don't know. Although, one of the Coen brothers did a very good movie on his own. And I think you saw
Yep.
the second one, no, Matt, Jason? Didn't you see there's like the Ethan Coen one that came out?
Remind me again.
He had like a weird comedy that
Yeah.
Because
One of
Joel
the
Coen did-
lesbians who
Which one?
sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I'm aware of the movie.
I can't remember which
haven't
one it
seen
is. I know the first one you're talking about was the Macbeth one, right?
Yeah, that was Joel.
And I did not see that one, but I really, really want to see it.
Oh,
And
here
then
it is.
the other one was a comedy. What was it?
Yeah, so Ethan Coen did a solo directing job on Drive Away Dolls.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah.
It was funny.
So,
I liked it. It was I think I went into that not knowing that Ethan had directed it, so that's why I was like, oh wow, when I saw his name pop up. But yeah, it's funny. When it finally pops up on streaming, I'll definitely watch it again. If I see it cheap somewhere, I might buy it. I don't know.
yeah. You kind of wonder sometimes. It's an interesting subject. Like, who are these people? Like, say, like Nolan. Maybe Nolan has like his brother. That probably helps, and also his wife.
Probably his wife.
Yeah, his wife also is pretty powerful on that sense. Like, she's a producer and so she's in there all the time. But yeah, like having someone, Spielberg doesn't really have. I mean, maybe he does to a degree, but the good thing with Spielberg, he's a technician. He doesn't really come up with the stories. But he always finds a way to make them work somehow for the most part.
Look at the difference between the original Star Wars trilogy and the prequel trilogy. Like the original trilogy, you had George, and then you had his wife at the time was doing all the editing, and she like really saved Star Wars, of course. Her and John Williams, of course. But and then for the second and third one, where the storytelling actually gets better and better, you got like Kasdan making a big contribution, right? And stuff like that. And you have other directors, of course, doing the directing part of it. And of course, you've got Lucas still providing the awesome story and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, and then when he gets to the prequels, he doesn't have any of that except for John Williams, and they kind of suffer, and it's like, you can just see this, like, you gotta have that.
Yeah, like they really need to learn. Like, I was just thinking about this recently. I'm trying to think of the context, but wow, what was the context? This was like actually kind of interesting that I thought about this. But I mean, the TV shows is a good example of it, but generally, it's like a really good example of this. But like when someone kind of makes it big or something, or if somebody comes up with an idea, like the first thing you want to do is hire other people that are even better than you at making that even better. Like if you hire the right people, because there's talented people out there. Like you might have had a fluke, but if you hire like really good people and build on that, then you can build a whole career around it. But and I had something recently that like made sense to that, like 100%. But I can't remember it at the moment. But the only thing I can think of is like TV shows and things like that. Like if you have some concept for a show, like a Cheers or a Seinfeld or something, like, but then you want to maintain it over 9 years or something, that's when you really need to like have good, talented people that can, to really keep it going, because you can't have one person do everything. That's like nearly impossible, and keep it consistent, like really consistent, like and I think movies is the same way. Like it's, if you're smart, you're probably gonna, like maybe start doing like some adapted work. Like, look, I mean, Snyder, he should really go back to doing some adapted stuff. Like his best stuff, like Watchmen and 300, were like adapted. So, I mean, I don't know. It just
Dawn
feels
of
like
the Dead was written by somebody else.
Yeah, so like I think it's finding, I guess like what's his face? Like I think Tom Cruise kind of gets that with the Mission Impossible because he brought in like what's his face? Macquarie. Um, they're like inseparable now. I saw them in the Wimbledon final. They're sitting together. For the Macquarie's like all gray hair, and Tom Cruise looks like he's 18 years old, um, even though they're the same age probably. But, anyways, it's funny, but yeah, like, that's you just gotta get good people in there that just like can really like kind of like work the dough and just get really good stuff like Lucas. And you know what? To a degree, I mean, even though we don't like what happened with Star Wars for the most part, there's still some good stuff. You know, some of the Mandalorian stuff. You know, some of the Andor stuff. You know, we did get like
Andor was great.
Yeah, so like it's, but I guess it is a lot of misses. There's a lot of misses too. So I don't know.
I think outside of the main trilogy, it's pretty good. You know, I mean, you got the Andor was really good. The Mandalorian was really good. The Boba Fett thing was really rushed, unfortunately, but there was some good in that too.
And that suffers from the opposite. It's like too much too soon. Like they should have done like, you know, 1 or 2 series at a time, not go nuts like in 10 different directions.
Agreed.
But you know, like the Game of Thrones thing, they had like one solid show for like what 8 years, and then like they started a new show and it's as solid. Same thing with Breaking Bad and you know Better Call Saul. Like, you know, if you have the right people working on it and you pace yourself and you do it the right way, you can get good consistent results. Like I think TV is probably the best example of it, even though I don't watch a lot of it, but it seems like, you know, if you pace yourself, you can really get good solid, you know, content made and get the right people.
By the way, Christopher McQuarrie is 7 years younger than Tom Cruise.
No. No.
Yeah.
It looks like he could be his father.
I have to look this up now.
No,
I got to see
kidding.
this picture you're talking about.
Yeah,
You said it was at Wimbledon, you said?
Yeah, well, you know, but you can look any picture of the two of them side by side. Like even the old commercial they did for like the TV smoothing effect. but because you know, like because he's not an actor, so he doesn't dye his hair, so he's completely white top to bottom. Probably even his pube hair is white. But like,
oh my god.
But like Tom Cruise is like wavy, like, you know, all made up hair, and it's all black, even his eyebrows. Like, you know, it's come on, please.
Wow.
Yeah, he's an actor. You know, he's in front of the camera. That's what you do. It's you know, whatever. But thank you.
So who's gonna watch the director's cut of this Rebel Moon thing?
Yeah, not Jason apparently.
If I see some footage of something that really catches my eye, I might skim it a bit and see if I can get it to make me want to watch it. But I mean, I think I had enough.
Yep, that's about right.
Well, that's the question. Would you see the sequel if there is one?
Maybe if they did what so if they release a sequel and it's the same PG-13 crap, I will not even touch it until I wait until they see them.
You'll wait for the R-rated.
That it's so stupid, like you said. I mean, a perfect example. I mean, I'm glad we didn't talk about this on the podcast because it's so unnecessary. But like, you know, a movie that I often defend, even though it is a pretty bad movie, but the fourth Die Hard film, when they made that movie, the studio insisted that they recut the certain scenes so they can get a PG-13 rating to release it theatrically as a PG-13 movie to make more money. When I got the DVD and I watched it, I was so like I saw the movie and I was pretty pissed off. When I got the DVD and watched it, there was an unrated version you could switch to, and then I'm listening to the director Len Wiseman talk about how he's like, "This is how we filmed the movie. We filmed it to be rated R. Then they forced us to come back and re-edit the film and reshoot a couple scenes to make certain things PG-13." And when you watch the side by side, you're like, this is ridiculous. It's so chopped up and weird when they are cutting around violence to like it's hacked up and it's just the pacing of the action feels wrong. And then you watch the other version and it's like, why was there a beat there? Oh, because there's supposed to be a splatter of blood across this console and they wanted to show that and emphasize it, and it does something to you viscerally when you see it, and they just digitally removed it, so the camera just pans to the console for no reason. And it's like it's just a perfect example of how to like ruin your movie, to take the way it's meant to be filmed and change it. And it's like what you just said, earlier. If this is what they wanted, if Zack Snyder wanted it a certain way, just release that. And if you absolutely think that you're going to make more money with a PG-13 version, release them simultaneously.
Yeah.
Give me the choice. But don't give me this bullshit where you're like, here's the movie, and then 6 months later, guess what, guys? If you like that, the next one's going to have more blood and tits.
I guess that's kind of like the docuseries is like to try to squeeze more viewing hours from the same subject. Because I mean, people sell like there's always like special edition DVDs and stuff like that come out for movies. They're like, oh, director's cut or like R-rated.
I used to be all about that stuff.
Yeah, like fucking what's his face, Ridley Scott with like the 7 versions of Blade Runner.
What's the Apocalypse Now? The Redux.
Oh, the Redux.
Yeah, but I mean, it is just true that I mean, given the context and like, I mean, especially given Netflix's reputation of being fairly laissez-faire. I mean, even the fact that South Park had that whole bit of Netflix, you're greenlit, all that stuff. I mean,
how they answer the phone.
Yeah, right. I mean, it just reeks of a complete lack of creative chutzpah or creativity, or not creativity, integrity. Yeah, to be like, I mean, people have fought tooth and nail for. I mean, there was just a story the other day about how like Matt and Trey, when they were making the South Park movie, apparently the studio wanted them to make a PG-13.
Yeah,
and they're like, fuck no, and it's the movie that we know and love today. But I mean, there is a long history of filmmakers fighting for that creative integrity and pushing the limits. And like the idea that a director would be in a situation where it's like, oh no, we'll let you put out the R-rated, or we'll let you put out the NC-17. Like, okay, but I'm still going to shoot the PG-13 version first. No. I mean, that's kind of a big middle finger to all the people who fought before you to be able to make the movies.
I mean, generally, I just don't think there should be like multiple ways to make a movie. I think if part of the deal is you want to discuss, are we making, because like the original Star Wars was harmless. There wasn't much in there. Like it's definitely very PG, possibly PG, not even PG-13. I think I finally convinced Diana to finally let the kids watch it. She just wants to be there, so we need to find a time that we're all home. But
Return of the Jedi can be a little rough for kids at the end when he's getting tortured and stuff.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how the first movie goes, how Chapter 4 goes. But I don't know. But what I'm saying is that I understand like the visceral, like blood and whatnot, the Tarantino approach to filmmaking. But I really think you can make incredible movies that have very little violence, or at least like gruesome violence and blood. Like you can tell a very good story with good action and keep it PG-13. Or if you're going for the R-rated, then you come to an agreement with whoever finances the movie that's what you're going for, and let the director go crazy, but don't have multiple versions. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I concur.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I still think Gettysburg is one of the better war movies. Well, I mean, at this point, I would probably drop it out of my top 10, but I mean, that's a really good war movie, and that was PG.
yeah, it's doable. It's all doable. I mean, I'm assuming Seven Samurai probably is like rated G or something.
Well, you got to remember that PG-13 was invented in the 80s.
Yeah, but if you were to rate it now, it's it says not rated. Never mind.
The MPAA probably didn't exist yet.
Yeah, I wonder what they rate on Max. It is available on Max. So.
I don't know.
It says TV 14. Yeah, like age 14. Okay.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, it's PG-13 basically. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, but thank you, Avihai, again for joining us.
Oh, thank you guys. This was
excellent
very
insights from your experience.
Yeah.
From my torture.
And maybe next time when you join us, you should come up with a movie, just a random movie that you want to talk about, not necessarily
that I maybe didn't work on and suffered through.
Yeah, exactly, and then maybe get into more of the.
I mean, this one I already suffered twice. I worked on it and then I had to watch it. So,
which was worse? No, just kidding.
Definitely working on it.
I believe it. Did you get paid pretty well?
I mean, yeah, you get the scale rate for a grip, and it was long. Like I said, long hours.
$4.50 a day or something like that.
No, it's hourly. It's I forget what it was. It was 45 an hour. It's I think closer to 50 an hour now. So
nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of days with they skip lunch, so you get meal penalties. So
yeah.
They at the beginning of the movie, they were spending a lot of money very fast, and then towards the end, we can't afford that anymore. So no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, it's good times. I'll let you know if there's a third one coming.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.